Welcome back, agents, to another Division 2 upload. I'm LtBuzzLitebeer, and today I am going to quickly cover the latest news from the State of the Game stream, including more information concerning Title Update 10 and the upcoming start of the second season. But before we begin the breakdown, we are rapidly approaching 50,000 subs on the channel, and I would kindly ask that if you haven't yet done so, please take just a moment to smash that sub button and ring the bell to never miss another upload notification from my YouTube channel. Okay, let's begin. Alright, agents, I'm going to do my very best to just rip through these different announcements that were made on today's State of the Game stream, give you as much information as I can in as short a time span as possible. So let's just start off with it. Today's stream was conducted by Hamish, Johan, and Yannick, and there was just a few general announcements made at the beginning. Number one, there was a maintenance performed on the Division 2 servers yesterday. It was normal. There was no changes made to the game. Yannick did also address that Division 1 global events are still a work in progress, as they have nobody working on the game. Now, even though I don't play the Division 1 anymore, I really enjoyed those previous GEs for the increased player power fantasy and how they could be completed either in a group or solo, and it's something that I think that is missing in the Division 2. So I am really hopeful that they can, sort out the workforce needs and get those global events planned appropriately for the Division 1, because that was still a great game in my mind, and I miss kind of that squad play that we had in Division 1. Further announcements were made today that the PTS on PC ended earlier today. So we went through a PTS Phase 1, a Phase 2, and a Phase 3. Those are now done. It was also mentioned that they made a few tweaks on Phase 3 going into what is going to be now Title Update 10, which is next week. I'll discuss that in a moment. But those tweaks weren't actually elaborated on, so I would be interested to find out. Possibly, somebody from the design team can tell me what were those tweaks that Yannick mentioned. Also mentioned on stream, there was a cooldown change to the Banshee Pulse, and it was missing from the patch notes. This was, I guess, revealed that it was unintentional. And I did cover it in my previous video. I did show quite a few differences on the CC effect skill builds, how the cooldowns are still quite high. The durations have been basically cut in half. So I'll probably address that a little later in this video. Anyway, I also wanted to show you, this was a timeline discussed on stream. Showing on your screens right now are basically the next three, I guess, updates coming for the Division 2. First, on June the 16th is going to be Title Update 10. That is what they're considering a general health and balance pass to the game, so no new content. And as you can see at the bottom of the graphic, it says loot generosity, player power, overall experience. So I think leading up to Title Update 10, we've seen the outliers for the NPCs kind of rein back in. For those of you who've watched my patch notes coverage of the Title Update 10 PC PTS, you know that there was quite a few balance changes and I guess buffs made to the weaponry. So I think with the scaling back of the lethality of the NPCs and the general increase in our basically our DPS, our player power fantasies are going to increase. All right, so also moving on to Season 2, that's the middle graphic, that starts a week after. So we're going to get TU10 next week on Tuesday the 16th. A week after that, Season 2 will start. That's going to be a whole new manhunt, 12 weeks of events, and a new reward track. I will discuss that in a moment. Don't worry about that. And they also teased on the next raid, the Iron Horse raid. That's going to be in July. They're hopeful early July, but there was like this caveat that Yannick mentioned as well, that it may be later. So we may be in that next phase of waiting and waiting and waiting for the next raid. But you can see new raid coming soon. This is the right-hand infographic. 8-player challenge, level 30 and level 40 exclusive rewards. So those are the next three upcoming events for the Division 2. There was a brief discussion about Title Update 10, where they did, once again, just recap. This is a health and balance focused update, and you can find all the PTS patch notes on the UB forums. I'll leave a link in the video description for those of you who want to go over and see it, but you can see see phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or you can just check on my channel. I covered all 3 of those patch notes iterations on the channel at length if you want to watch those. There was also this kind of, I guess, interesting developer video that they flashed up there with all the different members of the dev team from home, and they basically talked really briefly about what they were working on. And one of the things that was mentioned was targeted loot has been updated, although no details were given, but that is certainly an item that needs to be handled. Targeted loot, while in theory is a really good idea, so you can actually go out and have a better chance of trying to get the exact piece you're looking for, it's clearly shown that it's not quite up to snuff. They said they've been working on it. No details were given. And then there was also a brief discussion on, I guess Johan kind of chimed in, that he's really looking forward that how the weaponry has been buffed to increase the player power fantasy. And player power fantasy is really important in this game, but what we also need addressed is grind versus reward, and that was not really discussed in today's Title Update 10 discussion. I really look forward to seeing a healthy debate about that coming up in the future. Hopefully before Title Update 10 comes out, which is next week, we'll get some further details about that, but I really want to understand and get into the meat and potatoes of what is being done, not only to increase our player power fantasies, our output of damage, and how powerful we feel versus the targets that we're taking on, but also that risk versus reward. I'd like to see some cold hard stats as far as that goes. All right, so the next topic up for discussion is Season 2, and it was announced right off the bat that you're going to need to complete all your objectives for Season 1 prior to Season 2 launching, or you could miss out on your Season 1 rewards. So if you haven't completed your manhunts, etc., you need to get those done before Season 2 launches, or you're going to miss out on those targets and the targeted loot and all the exotics or whatever the different reward tracks for whatever you're missing. They also announced that the new manhunt is going to include a new set of targets, which we expected. It's going to have new backstory, which we expected. And I assume that just like in Season 1, once you complete those manhunt targets, you're talking about new skills. They also announced a new global event. It's going to recycle some of the Season 1 modifiers and also add in some new Season 2 modifiers. So those are going to be during the global event, the specific objectives and the different parameters for which you have to encounter. I don't know how I feel so much about Season 1 modifiers coming back. I honestly didn't enjoy most of them, other than maybe Polarity Switch. The rest of them were just uber grindy. I didn't feel more powerful. I actually felt weaker doing these seasons, and in general, I did not enjoy them. Plus the fact that I play solo quite a bit, and some of those were extremely difficult. Just getting the prerequisite amount of NPCs that even spawn in, like for instance, catch 3 on fire with a flame grenade or something. It just wasn't scaled to solo players, and it was actually very grindy, and I find myself at many times just finding other games to play, which I've never said about the Division in the past. There was also discussion about some of the new exotics, etc. They showed the new Regulus on stream, talked about it was tied to seasons. It isn't actually tied to seasons. It is a raid-specific revolver, but there are new gear sets in Season 2. It was also announced that there's a new trap skill called the healing trap skill that's going to be part of the season reward track. And then a very, 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 very important announcement was made that the new Seasons 2 is free for all Warlords of New York owners. So if you own Warlords of New York, you don't have to pay for Seasons number 2. However, if you want the premium reward track, that's going to be 1,000 premium credits. So that's going to basically come down to about $10 US. So once again, if you own Warlords of New York and you're level 40, because the content is centered around level 40 work, possibly in Warlords of New York and the DLC, so you're going to need to own that and be level 40 to handle this. If you want the premium reward track, that's going to be basically $10. Moving along to the next raid, and it was teased that it may be launched in early July, according to this informational video that they showed on stream. But after the video ended, there was like this walk back just a little bit. It said there's still no exact date, and it's just, to be determined. So it could be in early July, it could be mid-July, it could be August, we don't know. There was no exact date to it, and I think this is causing a possibly a source of contention between the gamer base and the dev team that we've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and every time we think that it's going to be launching with the next title update, it's not. I would highly encourage the dev team, just let's give us some information, give us some snippets, more than just a few screenshots of what's going on. Maybe feature some gameplay, just anything. I know that they did talk about in an upcoming stream they're going to include an interview with the team at Annecy. That's one of their studios. That's the studio that actually came up with the Dark Hours raid. They're going to be talking about some more specific raid details in that upcoming stream, but even that upcoming stream, the date wasn't announced. So it's just a constant state of to be determined. It's like hurry up to wait and wait some more. And it was a brief discussion as well about the Foundry World's First celebration, kind of like, you know, the artwork that they have in the base of operations for the world's first. It shows the gamers tags for the first team in the world that completed the Dark Hours raid. They're talking about doing something similar for the Foundry, but once again, no details were given about that. And I would like to reiterate, we need more details about this. This is a cornerstone of what the gamer base has to look forward to, and we really need more information about it. Towards the end of the stream, both Johan and Yannick answered some random questions out of chat, and one of the questions that was posed to them was what has been done to improve the player experience for solo and group play in the global events, and mainly towards the accommodations and completing the different objectives, because they're very difficult to complete for solo players, especially because you just can't get enough NPCs to spawn, and then also if you didn't get the killing blow or perform the action specifically yourself, it didn't count towards your objectives. They said that some improvements were made, although no details were given. There was also a question about stash space, plans for increases. Yannick once again said there are no plans to increase that. When they made the stash space up to the current size it is, that's pretty much stretched the servers to the nth degree. They're not able to do anything further. It was also unveiled or announced that Future Initiative and Bulwark are both tied to the new raid, although Eclipse Protocol is tied to the season, and you can find that in the open world. And then it was also announced that the final patch notes for TU10 will be coming this Monday, which will be the 15th, a day prior to Update 10 going live. All right, so my general impressions about today's stream is, although there weren't many intensive specifics given about, you know, certain things that I thought needed to be covered, there was some basic information provided. What was missing, at least in my eyes, is number one, they didn't talk about the real reasons, right, besides what we saw in the patch notes, the real reason for that recent crowd control skill nerf, and it was a heavy nerf, which I covered in a previous video of mine. I think that needed to be addressed a little bit more. And also, what is their master plan for build diversity going into Title Update 10? I thought today would have been a perfect opportunity to discuss that. Maybe have Bruce on stream or something like that that can really go into some details and provide some clarity, because from everything that I'm seeing in the previous title updates, they've been scaling back the outliers of the NPCs. They've been scaling back the NPC damage. And now for Title Update 10, at least from what we can see, they've increased our player power fantasy, so they're increasing our damage output. And I know that they pulled back on the CC skills and etc because they felt that they were basically stun locking NPCs for far too long and basically just nullifying lots of content. But by scaling back the NPCs, scaling back their aggressiveness, scaling back basically what are those outliers, their damage output, and then increasing our damage output, are they not locking us into a just all red DPS meta? I mean, I look forward to reading your feedback, as I always do. I try and read everyone's comments on my videos, but this feels to me that by pulling back the NPCs and then further increasing our damage output, we're going to basically take tanks off the build. We're going to take tanks out of the meta. We're going to take healers out of the meta. They've already clearly taken crowd control skill builds out of the meta, and it's just going to become this all red you know, shooting gallery where everyone's just going to spec into damage, because now with the NPCs not spamming those drones so much, with those outliers cut back, and basically they've reduced their aggressiveness and everything, players are now going to feel more emboldened to go into an all-red build and take it into legendary and just go ham in there, because there are no repercussions. There are no aggressive NPCs storming at them. There aren't those really heavy damage outputs, at least from everything that I've seen as far as leading up to TU10. Once again, I'd be really interested to think what you guys think of what the new meta is going to look like. For me, everything on paper, all the stats that I'm seeing, this looks like we're going to be headed to an all-red DPS meta. That's going to wrap up today's Division 2 news recap, and I look forward to reading your feedback in the comments section below. If you want more of this intensive Division content in your lives, please smash the sub button and ring the notifications bell to never miss another upload. If you liked the video, rate it with a thumbs up, if not with a thumbs down. If you are up to supporting my full-time content creation outside of YouTube, I will include links to my Patreon and Teespring store in the video description below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter for all my latest thoughts concerning most things gaming related, and until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.